You can call me Mystic Mike because I predict these things.
Evan Elder takes on Gage Young this Saturday at UFC Fight Night Kansas City. And this fight was kind of thrown together last second. It was originally supposed to be Ahmed Hassanzadeh versus Mitch Ramirez. Mitch Ramirez has to pull out, so Evan Elder steps in on short notice. And then Ahmed Hassanzadeh has to pull out, so now Gage Young is stepping in to take on Evan Elder on short notice. So both these guys accepting the fight this weekend on pretty short notice terms. And I gotta admit, when I first heard this, that Evan Elder was taking on a guy on his UFC debut on short notice, I was like, Evan's gonna probably beat the brakes off of this guy coming from the regional scene, never been in the UFC, just because Evan Elder is, really good. He's young in his career, only like 28 with 11 fights, but from what I've seen, he's very high level. I think he's got a lot of potential in the UFC. And I started to look at Gage Young's career. Hasn't fought the best competition on the regional scene, but he's looking really good. Really good hands, good wrestling, knockout power, putting guys out. And then I watch his, his Contender Series fight with Quillan Salkid, and I'm like, this kid's decent. He's really good for somebody that I've never heard of, and losing on the Contender Series. So it really made me kind of question how this fight was going to go. And maybe if Gage was taking on somebody else in the UFC on short notice, not the as top caliber as Evan Elder, I'd pick him. But I do think he's underratedly good, and I could see him getting the upset in this, just because, again, he does have talent. He's very young in his career, just going to be making drastic improvements. And again, taking on Evan Elder, who didn't really have much time to have a camp, let alone game plan for somebody like Gage Young. But I do think Evan Elder gets this one done still, though. He's just very good. I remember watching him when I was prepping some of my predictions for Nazem Sadikov and Preston Parsons when he lost those fights. I was like, this dude's good. He again, very young, fighting these guys that are very good in their own right. Preston Parsons, much more experienced in my opinion, but he was still kind of holding his own, taking that fight on short notice against Parsons and moving up in weight to fight him. And I think he took another short notice fight against Darius Flowers where he moved up in weight. So the dude's about it. He'll take a fight, he'll fight whoever, whenever, and I think that's just because he's very well rounded. He's been prepping to be an MMA fighter since like middle school, where he just kind of grew up watching MMA with his dad, and started wrestling in like 7th grade just to prepare for it, to build a good base for it, and been planning on doing it ever since. And it shows. He's very well rounded. He's got a lot of power on the feet, very good striker, good 1-2, great jab, great left hand that he sticks to the body to set up his right hand, mixes up his targets very well, good powerful leg kicks, hits body kicks, throws head kicks, even mixes up his combinations very well with his hands to finish with high kicks. So cuts angles after his exchanges to kind of set up knees and to stay safe from the counters. Just very tough, scrappy dude, gritty, really good cardio, always pushing a very high pace, throwing a lot of volume out there. And I'm not just talking tippy-tap volume. He's throwing, powerful strikes looking to finish guys, and has good wrestling too. Good wrestling to mix it up, to defend takedowns, to keep it on the feet, or just to mix up his own offense to set up his strikes better. And like I said, great cardio. Even on short notice, the dude's pushing a high pace and looking to hurt his opponents. Has a good chin as well. I say that, but he has been dropped a few times and hurt by Valdez and Nazem Sadikov, but those guys are good. Genaro Valdez is very good boxing, and Nazem Sadikov, I think he's super underrated. I think he's a very high level fighter. Just recently beat one of the Bonfim brothers. I picked against him. I don't know if I can. It's gonna have to be a really highly touted person for me to pick against that guy again, honestly. But so I'm gonna go with Evan Elder. He's just got more experience in the UFC. 4 fights now. Lost to Preston Parsons, but again, went up a weight class, took it on short notice, had a really good showing for himself, was beating Nazem Sadikov before he got cut and TKO'd, and then looked really good against Genaro Valdez, beat him by decision, and then beat Darius Flowers by arm triangle choke by getting the takedown. So can knock you out on the feet, can get you to the ground and submit you. And Gage Young, he's got big power too. He's an absolute dog. He's really young. He's like 24, maybe 22. Yeah, he's 24. decent record, 9-2, not against the best guys, but I mean the guy that he did lose to is Quillen Salkid, who's looked really good in the UFC, and another guy, Bobby Lee, who I don't really know, not a great look, but you can't win them all. But taking this fight on short notice, he was training for a fight, I think it was May 2nd, and he got pulled in to take this fight on short notice, but also a wrestler from a young age, kickboxing, all those things since like high school, so really good athlete from what I hear, wrestling and football. Hasn't fought near the competition the Elder has, and I just don't know if he's going to be ready for I don't know if he's ready for the UFC just yet, much less taking it on such short notice against such a high level opponent like Evan Elder, who's already had the rub. This will be his 5th fight in the UFC, and he's looking really good. Not seeing a ton of holes in his game. I'm not seeing anything that Gage Young can take advantage of other than maybe catching him on the feet, just because, you know, he's got decent striking and good power, but definitely a legit prospect. Was giving up takedowns against Quillen Salkid while having a little bit of success on the feet. Salkid kind of had to shoot to kind of save himself as Gage Young was kind of building momentum with his strikes. So I think that Evan Elder, I think he'll be able to get this one done. I think he's got 4 years. He's 4 years older than Gage Young. I think he's putting it together a little bit better. I think he's just a little bit more fluid with his striking, his takedowns, his all-around MMA skill set. And he's proven that in the UFC against top-tier talent. And with Gage Young, we just don't know. I think he's good. We just don't know how good he is. And I know how good Evan Elder is. So I'm going to go with Evan Elder to get this one done. I could see a finish, even though Gage Young, you know, he is really tough. His only loss is by decision and then by armbar before that. So I could see Elder getting the finish. But then again, I don't know what type of shape Elder is coming into this fight at. And I know that Gage Young was training for a fight. Granted, it's a few weeks out, but still he was in training camp getting ready for a fight. So you got to keep that in mind. But I just think Evan Elder, at this stage in both of their careers, he should get this one done. Thanks.